Well, that's right. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. It's all about love. Love is in the air.
Is that why you're wearing red today?
I'm wearing red because I love wearing red. I even have red Jordans on, but it's Happy Valentine's Day. Yes. We're talking about love, and we're talking about Sean Payton maybe loving up on one of these quarterbacks in the draft.
Valentine's Day, Singles Awareness Day, as it can sometimes be called. And,
okay.
Right now, the Broncos had a relationship at quarterback. Sean Payton spoke of his relationship with Russell Wilson last week at the Super Bowl, said it was a good relationship.
Right, but
he also said he's looking to fall in love.
So how does that work exactly? Where he's like, we had a really good relationship, we're getting a divorce. Like, okay, that's and he didn't say the divorce part, but we all know it's coming. Although we still get questions, and God bless all the listeners out there. And thanks for liking and commenting and sharing and subscribing.
Nice.
And hitting the bell.
So
people still never miss that vid. People still think like, well, what if they just could keep Russ? I just don't think that's going to happen, Mace.
Well, I'm actually going to use a quote here from a television show.
Okay.
That sometimes when it's not working, it's just easier to let the current kind of take you away than try to fix it. Right.
Okay.
If it's irretrievable, that's where, we're going to be talking like in, divorce terms
in
here.
Dire terms.
Irreconcilable differences, right?
Yes.
That's probably what this is between Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, especially when you hear last week the executive director of the NFLPA talking about Russell Wilson being, quote, mistreated, unquote,
yes,
by the Broncos in what they asked of him over the bye. I don't think that's a word that the NFLPA comes to without what, obviously processing and ingesting what they were brought by Sean Payton or by Russell Wilson, pardon me, and Mark Rogers, Russell Wilson's agent. Right. So
they're not using the term lightly.
Yeah. Like that's an explosive word. And can you put the marriage back together after mistreatment? I'd say probably not.
Right. Well, both parties would have to want to have that happen. And I personally believe, this is just me opining, Mace.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think either side really wants to be together. You know what I mean? I don't think Peyton wants Russell Wilson. I don't think Russell Wilson wants to be here with Sean Payton.
But let me ask you this.
Okay.
What if Russell Wilson looks around and there's no landing spot? Like, maybe, you want to go from one relationship to a rebound relationship. What if there's no rebound relationship available for Russell Wilson? Looks around and Pittsburgh, they're gonna date Justin Fields,
right?
Atlanta, maybe Atlanta's gonna try to move up and date one of these quarterbacks, or they're gonna stand pat. Maybe they take JJ McCarthy in the top 10, right? Yeah. What if Russell Wilson looks around and sees that there are not plenty of fish in the sea?
Well, I will quote. I believe it's Jay Giles' band. Love stinks.
That's the second time I've had that quoted to me in the last several days.
Okay, yeah, love stinks.
Yeah,
okay.
Are you thinking of the scene in Wedding Singer now?
Yes. Yep,
yes.
Yeah. So there's a lot we could get
and the
to
mutants
there.
at table 9 or whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, okay, Russ may look out there and see that there's nothing there for him.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Sean Payton's moving on. Sean Payton's looking for love. Not in all the wrong places.
I
can't say that without saying that, but he is looking for love. And that's the thing. If he falls in love with one of these guys, it doesn't matter if Russ says, I'll play for free.
Mm-hmm.
He's moving on, and it really doesn't matter what the price is. We know they don't want to get rid of Pat Surtain, but want one hand and in the other, see which one fills up.
Okay, here's the thing, though. Are you looking for QB right, or are you looking for QB right now? Because if you don't find QB right, do you start looking for QB right now?
Yes.
That's where you start getting into the Sam Darnold conversation.
Right.
Let's face it. Baker Mayfield, not happening because of the Broncos.
He's going to make a bunch
situation. Of money. Kirk Cousins, I'd say the same thing.
Yep.
Assuming Minnesota chooses not to bring him back. QB right now is a Sam Darnold, Mac Jones type. Even I don't think it's likely because I don't think the Bengals would trade him. Jake Browning, we talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
Right.
And we brought up Jameis Winston, and my God, our comment section on our YouTube video, it was very kind. Thank you all for that. but people did not like the Jameis suggestion. I see it as arguably the best answer for the right now quarterback.
Okay. And here's what Jameis Winston would be. QB right now that you dated before. So you know what you're getting into, right?
Okay, right.
So in other words, Jameis knows Sean's peccadillos, right? And so if Jameis Winston signs on for that, he does so with an understanding of some of the things about Sean Payton that are going to make a union with him unique, right? So he knows what he's getting into. And conversely, Sean Payton knows the same things about Jameis Winston.
Right.
So, as George Michael once sang, maybe you give it one more try.
Just give it one more try. That's right. With Jameis Winston, and maybe fans wouldn't like that, but it depends on who's behind him and what's the plan and what's the direction. Now, the nice thing is the conversation is going towards what haven't they done? Move up for a top 5 quarterback. Maybe that's the case. Right. They've never done that.
They've gotten as far. They moved up to number 11 for Jay Cutler. And of course, they traded for John Elway after the draft when it was apparent John Elway was not going to sign with the Baltimore Colts.
And wasn't it just one spot for Cutler? Because they were at 12. It was pretty close. Like, it's not like they moved up from 25 to 11 for Jay Cutler. And I remember being in the cafeteria at Broncos headquarters when they did the draft there, and the lights came on early, and we're like, me and Mike Evans were like, hey, why are the lights on early? Oh, it was because the Broncos traded up to get Jay Cutler. But that's not even to the top 10. It's close to the top 10. Now it seems like a lot of fans are saying
from 15 to 11.
15 to 11. Okay, so
and then they gave up pick 68 to move up 4 spots and pick Jay Cutler back in 2006.
Well, I say inflation's going to get them this time because you're not moving up a few spots to 7 or whatever without paying a hefty price.
Right. And remember, he was QB3 that year.
Yes.
Because
Vince Young and Matt Leinart. Yep.
Jay Cutler worked out the best. Again, I mean, he wasn't world beating. He didn't get you to a Super Bowl, although it is interesting to wonder how things would have transpired for Jay Cutler had the Broncos not fired Mike Shanahan after the 2008 season. I believe that was a what if that we did.
Yes, I was going to say
last offseason.
We got to do that one if we didn't do it.
Yes.
But it would be one to do. But now a lot of fans are just saying, break the glass. Like, it is the emergency. It's time to stop messing around. One of our commenters said, like, I don't want another Case Keenum in reference to Jameis Winston or even Jake Browning. Like, I don't want another retread.
Jake Browning would probably be kind of the Case Keenum
right
type. Although I would argue watching Jake Browning versus Case Keenum, I think some things that Browning did are more sustainable than Case Keenum. But that being said, I think Browning settles as I think he's a mid-level starter who plays at slightly above mid-level in the right scheme, like he did in Cincinnati, like I think he would do here. But that doesn't mean, but if like I was saying, like I told our Rachel Vihill on another show here, if the Bengals can say, oh, well, we want a 2nd round pick, we want a 3rd round pick. No. And the Bengals can do that because they have a great luxury, and they know with Jake Browning, if something happens to Joe Burrow, they don't have to raise the white flag.
Right.
The thing they learned this year is that, okay, as long as they can hang on to Jake Browning, they're probably going to do it unless someone gives them a ridiculous, absurd offer, because Jake Browning can keep them in contention, which is what you ask of a backup quarterback.
Right.
Keep this thing afloat, for however long it takes. Give us a shot. He gave him a shot.
He did. And the Broncos, in needing 2 quarterbacks, Mace, just a programming note, we are going to be talking about Sam Darnold a lot on Thursday's show. Everybody stay tuned for that. But on today's show, it is about falling in love. And that's why maybe it's JJ McCarthy.
It could be. Now, he doesn't fit the Bill Parcells test. Bill Parcells used to prefer drafting quarterbacks who'd been starters for 3 years, had won, I think, like 70%.
Was it 20 games, right? Didn't he have a number? Like, Parcells had an old school number, because I remember Ryan Tannehill in that conversation when he came out of Texas A&M. And of course, he played wide receiver one year for the Aggies because they had injuries at the position. So he transferred from quarterback to wide receiver. He was a pretty good wide receiver. Then he went back to quarterback. So he didn't reach that level. So back when Tannehill was drafted, that was kind of a big conversation. Like, Bill Parcells says you need 20 games or whatever the number was in starting. With McCarthy, that's part of the conversation because you have different choices. Bo Nix started a bunch of games. JJ McCarthy starting less.
Yeah. It was a senior, a graduate, at least a 3-year starter in 23 games.
23. Okay.
23. Michael Jordan number.
I should remember that.
Yes, exactly. You're
wearing my Jordans.
You're wearing Jordans today for
every
crying
day.
out loud. Okay.
Every day.
JJ McCarthy doesn't fit those 4 characteristics.
So none of those are checked off.
Yeah, because he's a 2-year starter, and I don't think Michigan got to 23 wins.
No,
I think they fell just short. Bo Nix does.
Yes.
But the thing is, Bo Nix is operating in schemes that don't translate as well to the NFL as the scheme in which JJ McCarthy worked at the University of Michigan.
Right. What means more to you? Just the mere number of starts and games played in college, and we know college football is almost a different game from the NFL, or fewer games, but in an NFL system with an NFL coach, basically.
Well, it depends what you see in terms of the upside, right? Like, do you feel there's another level that the quarterback can get to? Honestly, I saw some things in Bo Nix in terms of slow processing of pressure at the Senior Bowl that concerned me a bit.
Yes.
It's okay to scramble if you're making that decision quickly, right? I mean, Russell Wilson made some quick scramble decisions at times last year. That's fine. That is, in Simpsons parlance, a perfectly cromulent decision. Bo Nix seemed to be kind of slow to process when in Senior Bowl practices, the receivers were covered. We've talked about how good the corners were down in Mobile, and he didn't make that quick decision to take off, whereas with some of the other quarterbacks who were working down there, Michael Penix Jr., Michael Pratt, Spencer Rattler, another guy I talked about earlier today, that they made those decisions faster. So I would say, just on balance, I would take the less experience of JJ McCarthy in a pro scheme versus what we saw from Bo Nix. And yes, the practice did not do him any favors. We've talked about how the practices were run for that team in Mobile, but I think there was a red flag or two that came up on Bo Nix during those practices, I thought.
Well, and with JJ McCarthy, what you would also get is the promise of time. You know, I believe even with the Bo Nix, maybe not Michael Penix as much. I'm pretty down on Penix, but like with McCarthy, you'd get almost a redshirt year. And I've told you that because you asked me, like, would you have McCarthy as a first rounder? I said, yeah, next year. He's not a first rounder for me this year.
Which means you'd better have a strong bridge.
Yes.
Which is why
Jameis.
I could be sold on a Jameis Winston, JJ McCarthy, Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy quarterback infusion over the next 2.5 months.
That would show you a plan that was in place. And Darnold, you could trust for the time being with the plan that McCarthy, maybe end of the year, you're out of it, week 12, something. And you throw in McCarthy.
The old Steve McNair plan
in
Houston back in the day. In his first 2 seasons, he played games at the end of those years. And then in 97, by then, the Oilers had moved to Tennessee. They started him.
He's ready to take over.
And it worked out. I mean, Jordan Love, the Packers weren't planning on this, but he got some bursts when Aaron Rodgers got hurt.
Right.
And then, now that was a 3-year runway for Jordan Love. I don't think we're talking about a 3-year runway with JJ McCarthy. I think we're talking about 1, maybe 1.5.
Well, you and I saw Jordan Love at the Senior Bowl that year with Justin Herbert. Steven Montez looked better than Jordan Love at that game. Okay. So that will tell you something. Love needed that time. I don't believe McCarthy would need that much time.
Appropriate. We're talking about love on Valentine's Day.
On Valentine's Day.
I almost said Thanksgiving. Gosh, get my holidays confused.
We're thankful for you watching here on YouTube.
We love you. And we love you even more if you like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a vid. And you know what else we love? We love hearing from our friend Mark Schlereth, who I've had some great conversations with, including last week when he was working down at the Senior Bowl or the Super Bowl, Senior Bowl, Super Bowl. They all blend together.
It's a super Senior Bowl.
Yeah, it's a lot of bowls for me here. I need a cereal bowl. Anyway, so Mark Schlereth, we were talking last week, he and I kind of off air about JJ McCarthy, and he was going to dive in some more. And after watching McCarthy and comparing him with Bo Nix, he's on Team McCarthy. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
He's played a lot more football, but it doesn't translate as well as what McCarthy played in Michigan. What Bo played in Oregon does not translate as well.
So simply put, if JJ McCarthy and Bo Nix are both on the board at 12, you would prefer McCarthy over Nix?
I would probably prefer a guy that's been in that offense that
even
understands.
though he's had less reps, college reps,
right?
A lot less college reps.
Yeah, that's a hard
than Bo Nix.
It's a hard about. I mean, it's the Carolina Panthers. We love Bryce Young versus C.J. Stroud, who played there's still spread, but there's still some NFL principles in the Big Ten. With Ohio State and Michigan, where there just really wasn't in Alabama as much.
Yeah, are you ready for pro concepts? McCarthy would be eventually. Nix, honestly, Nix might take as much time as McCarthy.
And he's older.
Exactly.
That's the other thing to consider. I mean, if you're gonna go the age route, JJ McCarthy's what, 21, gonna be 22 this year? Yeah. Bo Nix, he took his time. There was a transfer in there from Auburn to Oregon, I think, and the other thing is also you project when you're making this kind of pick. If you are picking a quarterback, it's where is this quarterback in 3 years?
It's not who they are today. It's who they are eventually.
Now, some of them never get there. Okay, Paxton Lynch was a projection, and that didn't work out very well.
That was just a bad plan. They should have talked to Paxton.
Well, that's the thing. Don't talk to a quarterback without. Don't draft a quarterback. I'm getting
talking to him.
Don't draft a quarterback without talking to him. And the Broncos didn't talk to Paxton Lynch. I mean, how do you?
That was like one of those.
How do you do that? That's malpractice.
What is give me a VH1 show like 90 Day Fiance or something where it's like you're marrying this person.
Married at first sight. Even more so. That's what it was. That's another channel.
Right.
You're marrying the quarterback and you're meeting them at the altar.
No wonder it didn't work.
Yeah, I mean,
wait a second. All you do is play video games all day?
Yeah. I mean, of course, most of the marriages on those shows are train wrecks, right? I mean, and of course, the Broncos Paxton Lynch marriage was a train wreck. I mean, I still remember seeing Gary Kubiak screaming at Paxton Lynch during training camp practice back in 2016.
Oh yeah, he was not down.
And we remember the Paxton Patch. Throwing it away on 4th down.
In the building. Lots of bad decisions.
God.
McCarthy with
starting
time,
with the decision to take Paxton Lynch.
Right. McCarthy with time wouldn't be a bad decision if you gave him the proper time to develop and had a bridge you could trust. I do not want a Stidham McCarthy situation.
If it's Stidham, you're forcing a young quarterback out there. The goal, if you're going young quarterback long term, the goal is a bridge sturdy enough to get you through a year or even 2 years. But also know this about Sean Payton. Sean Payton's history includes reclamation projects. Kerry Collins back with the New York Giants. Had Drew Bledsoe toward the end of his career in Dallas, while also developing Tony Romo. I'll get to that in a moment. New Orleans, Drew Brees had just injured his labrum, lost his job to Philip Rivers in San Diego, right? Later on, New Orleans, guy like Teddy Bridgewater comes in, fills in for Drew Brees, reclamation project. Jameis Winston, reclamation
30
project.
30 for 30, Jameis.
Yeah. Sean Payton likes him some first-round reclamations. He really does. And that's why a name like Sam Darnold, you start putting the pieces together, makes sense with the history. JJ McCarthy, first round. Now, that would be something new for Sean Payton because he hasn't gone first-round quarterback. And if he goes with the history, if he's like, okay, let's develop somebody from the lower range of the draft, that's where the conversation comes back around to, for example, Michael Pratt, or even, I tossed his name out earlier today. If Spencer Rattler's there in round 5, you could argue he had the best trajectory of any Senior Bowl quarterback because he went up from day to day. Bad Tuesday, better Wednesday, better Thursday. The game is, kind of
the game is the game.
The game is the game. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday was on incline. And I thought conducted himself when we talked with him with a great deal of humility, which I think is very significant considering what people know about Spencer Rattler when he was a high schooler going into college.
Programming note, we'll have to put out the part of the Rattler interview. Maybe we will on this show sometime. Or put it out as a short. When I asked him why he loves this game, do you know how many guys would have given up? What they went through, what Spencer Rattler went through. And honestly, the humiliation of being like the stud, 5-star, everything quarterback losing your job,
Mhm.
getting hurt, battling back from injury, battling through transfer. Like when I asked him why he loved the game, I loved his answer.
Yeah, we'll get that up. I want to write something more about him as well.
That's why you watch our YouTube channel. And that's why you love our chemistry. As we tied today's show up.
Yes.
We talk about Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So many people commented on Mason Cease's chemistry. I said, well, we've been wanting to do this for years.
True.
We've had eyes on each other for years, being like, man, if we ever work together.
Casting eyes across the room in separate camps, separate cliques. Little fun. Like
a little
that.
wink, a little nod, right? Okay. Yeah. Well, it's just fun to be able to talk ball with you.
You too.
And we appreciate everyone
Happy
out there.
Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. And we love Joey because he's the man in the box.
Oh, man.
He's doing shorts now for us, so check us out on YouTube.
Joey has taken this thing to another level.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fantastic. He's Mace. I'm Cecil. OBT's BFD. Make sure to do the YouTube things. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. I was watching out of the corner of my eye. I was like, which way are we going?
I was trying to. Yeah, anyway, never mind.
All right. There we go.
Good
He's
stuff.
Mace. I'm Cease. There's Joey. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay tuned. And would you please stay frosty?